All right, what's going on? Welcome to Insight with Irv. Let's talk about escaping poverty. A lot of you guys were reaching out to me, just letting me know, dude, I'm broke and I am frustrated. There's nothing worse than being broke and frustrated. Talk about a terrible combination. Have you ever been broke and frustrated? I've been broke and frustrated to the point where you can't think of new ideas because every single idea that you think of, it either sucks or requires money. Terrible place to be. It's far better to be in a place where even though, yeah, I don't have the best ideas, I have more resources to throw at it to make it work, right? And oftentimes, if you think to yourself, the times that you've been frustrated or the times that you feel down and out are the times and are the moments when you're just flat out lacking resources. It's the times where you just don't have enough money to your name to get something off the ground, to get things to pop off. And so in this episode, I really want to gear toward escaping poverty. I'm trying to keep it as practical as possible because there's a lot of moving pieces to this. So I'm going to keep this as a blanket for all of us, blanket statement. I know that, you're listening to this. All of us are coming from different walks of life. I get it. Some of us, if you're listening to this, you maybe grew up in a single parent household, one of many kids. Maybe if you're watching this, you grew up in an orphanage. Maybe if you're watching this, you grew up with both your parents in the household. Maybe if you're watching this, you grew up battling an addiction. Whatever it is, I do believe that if you listen to what I'm about to tell you in this episode and in this podcast, it will at least push you forward to help you escape poverty if you're still battling with it, because it is one of the nastier things that I think holds people back. But you can change. So the first thing that I want to bring up is you want to question the information that you've been operating with. And I have this at the top of the list because I think that a lot of people that are still living in poverty, and by the way, so like side note, little side quest here is if you live here in the US, if you have Wi-Fi, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this on your smartphone, just a heads up, you're ahead of like 90% of the population. I know that's like the cop-out answer that we hate to hear, but just to put things into context, right? Because I think that sometimes we need to keep things in check. We have two cars in our household. We have a fridge full of food. We have the Uber app where we can just order a meal, order a driver, pretty much a chauffeur. So let's just keep things into perspective here for a second, right? But again, I'm here to push you in this episode because I know that you want to make more money and I know that you want to improve your financial situation. So the first thing that I want you to look at is I want you to question the information that you're operating with. The reason why this is so hard for so many people is that we think that the information that we have makes us. And that's like a half truth, because even though you should watch what gets spoken into your life and over your life, because it does have, like I say, like kind of like I don't want to use the word spell, but kind of like I would say kind of like a formula to how you start to view the world and how you start to formulate your thoughts around things, is you want to release anything that hasn't been serving you up to this point. And some of us are afraid to release thoughts of how we view money, thoughts of how we view relationships, thoughts of how we view networking, thoughts of how we view business, thoughts of how we view politics, like whatever it is. If you're seeing that it's not serving you and you're seeing that the situation that you're in has you where you are and you're just not happy, you're not satisfied, if anything, you're disgusted, then yes, the first place you want to go to is what information have I been operating off of? This is why systems are always getting rebooted. Whether you have an iPhone, 2, 3 in the morning hits, it says, oh, there's an update. Okay, I guess I need the update, right? You notice that your phone's getting a little slower. You notice that it's not downloading as quickly. You notice that it starts to crash a little bit more. Same thing in our lives. Same thing. You start to move a little bit slower. You start to notice that, man, this used to be a lot easier for me. What's going on? It's because you're operating off of information that's either no longer relevant, no longer serving you, or false altogether. But again, it's hard for people because they're so attached to what they've gotten it because of the source of where they've gotten that information from. Sometimes we get it from mom, sometimes we get it from dad, sometimes we get it from a sibling, sometimes we get it from a loved one, but sometimes you can get the wrong information from the right person with the right intentions, and it can still be as equally detrimental than if you would have gotten it from an enemy to begin with, because the information is unfortunately it's going in the complete opposite direction or contradicting where you're looking to go. The second thing that you want to work on is you want to change your belief system. Now, this is going to be a second layer deep because When you start to change your information, naturally what's going to happen is your belief system is going to change. And so there's really two things that people need if they want to make more money. In my opinion, if I were to characterize it to the just, hey, Earth, bare bones basics, what do you notice or what have you noticed about people that are a little bit more well off or people that are really hitting it off or even in your own life? I'll tell you two things. Number one, and this is what it's going to boil down to, again, blanket, but I think it's going to reach the majority of us, is skills and belief. Skills and belief. Now, I want to focus on the belief side, because if you don't have belief in yourself, if you don't have belief in what you're doing, and if you don't have belief in a better future for yourself, you can have all the skills in the world. You are not going to make things happen. I've seen some of the most skilled people with the most self-crippling doubt stay in the same place. I'm talking about smart people, people that you would think, man, this person's going somewhere. Man, this person can, this person can run a big organization if they really wanted to. Man, this person can easily just crush their goals if they would just snap into it. And there's so much self-doubt. There's so much self-infliction in the way that they speak. And that couldn't happen for me, or that wouldn't happen for me, that it ends up hurting them from even being able to put their skills in place to begin with. And so you want to change not just the information, you want to change the self-talk around the new information that you have, which leads me to my third and final point is, now that you've questioned the information that you have, now that you've been working on changing your belief system altogether, the third and final piece that you want to do, especially if you plan on breaking out of poverty, is you want to then apply the new information that you get. I can sit here, look, my YouTube channel is geared around a ton of content. I look, there's other channels that probably have more content than ours with different maybe avenues of making money, but I can tell you from experience, my channel has some of the best content. I don't say that because it's ours, some of the best content when it comes to credit. And I've made videos answering questions around what people are asking and just in full detail thinking, man, once this video goes out, like it's over. No one's ever going to ask this question again. It's done, right? It's so clear cut. And lo and behold, sometimes people just don't apply the information. And it sucks sometimes, especially when you're working with someone that you're telling them, go left, go left, go left. And they're going right. And you're like, dude, I'm telling you, go left. Why are you going right? And it goes back to their belief system that's still jacked up. And the new information that they have is still trying to filter out the old information that they're operating off of. So the fastest way that you can change your belief system and the fastest way that you can filter out some of the old fluff that you've been fed in your life, again, the way that you view money, the way that you view yourself, the way that you see the world, is by applying the new information, even if, and this is going to be hard for some of us, even if you don't fully believe it yet. I'll say that again. One of the fastest ways that you can change your belief system, and one of the fastest ways that you can change one of the fastest ways that you can filter out old information that isn't serving you, is by applying new information, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Because what's going to happen is you're going to see, wait a minute, that thing kind of worked. They told me go left, I went left, and okay, it's getting a little bit better. I'm not completely out of the mud just yet. Okay, let me keep trying this. Okay, wow, I've gotten ahead more in 1 month with this one thing that I struggled with than how I was trying to just fight with this over the last year. And it's because you're now starting to put into play useful information, and you're starting to see that your belief system is starting to change in real time. And so that is, again, a topic that I think a lot of people struggle with, because you can go really deep on how to escape poverty, and I can stay here for days, but I wanted to give you at least 3 main things that you can use and really chunk down on to, again, push that needle forward. So if you found value in this content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. We don't run any ads to this page, to this channel, to this podcast, so it would mean the absolute world to us if you leave us a 5-star review and consider sharing it with a friend or a relative. Once again, I appreciate you guys checking me out. Until next time, everyone, I will see you in the next episode.